Welcome to Shifting from Grudge to Grit, Grace, and Gratitude. We're all about the hero's journey over here. So while I am just pressing live on Instagram, because last week we couldn't go on for some reason, welcome, welcome, welcome. I mean, I am so excited to host Emily Aarons. Is it Aarons or Aarons?
Aaron's, you
Aarons.
got it. Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
All the way from Massachusetts. It's now 9:30 on her side. The topic today is from hustle to harmony, the energy advantage, which is trademarked by her. And I want to know more about this for conscious leadership. Everybody talks the talk about this, but we're really going to dig deep into it today. 24 years of experience, Emily has empowered thousands of leaders to heal deeply, align authentically, you, my people, and thrive without burnout. From opening her first wellness center at 22 years young, age is but a number, to scaling $1 million global brand, Emily shows that true success comes from energy alignment. Oh my word, I just can't wait for today's conversation. Not endless hustle, people. We'll explore, this is what we endeavor to explore, but everybody knows we don't stick to a script here. But we want to maybe touch on how to spot energetic misalignment in business and in life, daily energy practices to prevent burnout, and what leading with intuition really looks like in action. Let's see what I've missed. She also helps businesses thrive by supporting CEOs in feeling their best. She's the founder of the Mastery and Ascension app. Hmm. No, 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 no. I'm going to need to do some more homework after this. A premier platform, often curated energy healing for conscious leaders, and the host of the Aligned and Unstoppable podcast with over 500,000 downloads. She, beyond her professional work, Emily enjoys life on her hobby farm. Is that correct?
That is correct. I have a backyard farm.
With a husband, two sons, and a lively crew of animals. She loves gardening, cold plunges, yikes, baking sourdough, and farm to table cooking. Beautiful. Welcome, welcome, Emily. I mean, I'm so, so grateful to have you here. We are waiting for my co host, Jamila. I'm going to message her shortly. In the meantime, while I message her, please just tell us what brought you to our segment today.
Well, thank you for the warm welcome, Anissa. And your enthusiasm is contagious. You're making me feel like I'm blushing a little bit here. It's my pleasure to be here and with your community and audience. Like you said in my bio, I am here to help people to get aligned in their energy field as well as their business. I like to
Mhm.
blend the two. And, for years, I was trying to figure out which bucket do I fit into. And I remember I spoke with a publisher once, probably about 6 or 7 years ago now. And he said, well, are you in the spiritual bucket or are you in the business bucket? And I said, yes, I am. I'm in both. And I think maybe that's what makes me a unique unicorn here, where I blend the two. And I know that the field of conscious leadership has definitely become more mainstream recently. And I really feel like this shift of energy out of this masculine paradigm of hustle and work, 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 work until you die has
Yes.
really shifted as more women are coming up, as more women, especially middle-aged and beyond, are respecting their bodies and their wisdom and this sort of ancient knowledge base that's held in our system. And it's kind of crying out for a revolution to say, I don't think so. I don't want to do this anymore. And this doesn't feel good in my body to run my business until there's nothing left of me. I'd actually love to have more fulfillment in my life, in my health, in my family, in my spiritual practices, and have harmony versus just hustle. Hi, Jamila.
Hi, how are you? I
There she
apologize
is.
for being late. It's just a manic Friday.
I think that's the new song, right? It's just another manic Friday.
Yes.
Monday.
But right on point,
Today,
right on
having
point, Jamila.
sorry.
You were right on time and on point as she's just describing the hustle, right?
Yeah.
There you go. You see, I'm finding that
Wow.
it's becoming my life. The hustle.
Oh, I told Emily just before we started and went live, I said to her, we have been so blessed that every single time that we've had a guest on, that it's in service to us as well, for either one
Yes.
of us or both of us. So I was looking forward to having a year today. So, I mean, this is just topical, on point, and not just for us. I think around the world, people are just in a hustle mentality. And no wonder we can't manifest because we're manifesting from lack, scarcity, poverty mindset, and this hustle mindset. So I'm
Mm.
really looking forward to delve into this, Emily.
Yeah,
Mm.
Where
and
to
especially
start?
I think, especially Anissa, I think from a space of low energy,
Mm.
Yes,
because we just
yes.
don't have enough of it because you're so busy in the hustle that by the time you get to sit down like this here, your energy levels are at an all-time low. So how can you possibly manifest from that state of being?
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. And that's what really led me to creating the energetic advantage, because I'm here to say I have worked myself to burnout. I
Mm,
have
mm.
lived a life where I'm hustling. I have 2 young kids, I have a spouse, I have extracurricular activities and hobbies, and try to keep myself having a life once in a while between running a business as well. And I got to the point where I kept overriding my instincts to slow down. Everything in me needed to slow down. And I kept saying, no, 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 I'll just push a little harder. I'll keep going,
Mm.
keep going, keep going, until my system really started to crash. And what happens with all of us is we start to develop those physical symptoms. Like, it starts off as, you're stressed, you have more
Mhm.
stress. And that allostatic load that we hold on to, it kind of starts to rise, or this baseline of stress that we are used to, it starts to rise and rise and rise. And then one day it's like that little tipping point, just one little thing sets us off. And then we get sick, or we get like a breakout. A lot of times when we have ongoing stress and we're hustling, we will unknowingly put on weight as well. Our sleep patterns start to
Oh,
get really
yes.
interrupted. So this physical manifestation starts to happen where our energetic body has already been holding up the stop signs and the red flags. And it's like, please listen, stop, stop. We can't stop. We have things to do. And so if we override that continuously, it basically, our body forces us to stop. Have you ever
Yes.
had, something happen where all of a sudden, something is really important going on, and, you just get sick and you cannot get out of bed. You cannot function. You can't check your emails. You can't read. What,
Definitely.
it happens to us all. And so, we think that in order to get into alignment and to have more energy, it's going to take, hours a day to do all these different self-care practices. And, we just don't have time for that. And one of the easiest ways to get into energetic alignment is a 1-minute meditation every single day. And that doesn't mean it has to be in perfect silence. It can be as soon as you realize that you're waking up, even before your eyes open in the morning, just call in white healing light and allow it to wash over you from head to toe, and just check in. How am I feeling? Is there any tightness, tension in my body? Any areas that just need a little bit more love before I start the day? That's it. And we can do that
Wow.
periodically. Just even the thought of that, doesn't it kind of like calm down your nervous system? You're like,
Does.
huh.
It absolutely does. Because you know what? When I have to contemplate a 10-minute meditation, I fall asleep. In the
Yeah.
same way, like I love to read, but
Yeah.
now when I'm starting to pick up the book, it's like we said earlier on, Emily, that parasympathetic nervous system, like, calms down and then you go into sleep mode. So
Yeah.
I almost find myself nodding off always with the book, which is not a bad thing.
No.
But with meditation, I always fall asleep.
Yeah. And that's a good
Always.
thing too, because I mean, I have led at this point thousands of meditations, and I have an app that has hundreds of guided meditations on it. And
Mm.
there are sometimes that like clients are like, oh, I fell asleep again. I said, no, 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 let yourself fall asleep. The meditation is still working on healing your system and clearing your energy
Yes.
field, even though your conscious mind is asleep. In fact, sometimes when you fall asleep in meditation, it's even better, so that your energetic body can get online and get into alignment, because we know our subconscious is always on. It doesn't turn off. So your subconscious is still hearing it. Your energy is still experiencing it. And your body is probably exhausted. So it's okay. I mean, I've had clients sitting straight up in a chair, not even laying down in their bed doing meditations, just sitting up in their chair, and they nod off like, I don't know where I just went. I think I fell asleep. And I said, let yourself go there. And then maybe listen to again if you're on a walk. You know, you don't have to sit in perfect silence to get the benefits of it. And sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves to have this like pristine space that's like perfectly silent and no interruptions. And in reality, that's not always possible. So I've got meditations that you can listen to while you're on the go. You just press play while you're making coffee. It clears your energy field and you don't have any interruptions. You don't have to sit on a little perfect meditation pillow and, you know.
I love that, Emily. I love that, because what I found is that when you put that pressure and stress on you to find those times to be able to meditate, whether it's in the evening or whether it's first thing in the morning, and you miss it, you go weeks and weeks and weeks without doing it, right?
Yeah.
But there's something that it's like small little things without having the pressure of I have to do this. I've got to tick this box. Otherwise, I'm never going to start it. But if you find time in your day, and that's what our lives ought to be like. We should be in a meditative state consistently.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Because we should be able to do it while we're on the go. Like you said, while we're making a cup of tea, or while we and also just to take, I always tend to tell my clients this, that just as we as women take time to touch up on our makeup, we need to take the time during the day to touch up on that meditative state, or to do those check-ins.
I love that.
For ourselves, and you can do this by a small little, even if it's a 2-minute break, where you step away from your desk and go outside and have a look through the window.
Oh, absolutely.
And be conscious of it. But it's like you say, your subconscious is on all the time. So we shouldn't be saying that, okay, it has to be this pristine environment that we're setting, or this atmosphere that we have to stage to be able to benefit from our meditation. It should be happening on the go all the time. It should be a part of who we are.
And the interesting thing is that what happens is when we introduce just a 1-minute meditation, if it's right when you're waking up, you're not into like doing things and responding to people. It's still just your time. But when you start to get into the habit where, let's say you have a podcast interview or you have a client call, at some point you're hopefully hydrated, drinking water, you have to go to use the bathroom. So when you go to the bathroom, have this, maybe even you imagine like a waterfall over your bathroom door, that when you walk through the threshold, it's going to clear off energy that doesn't serve you. You go to the bathroom, you have a check-in with yourself, take a few nice long deep breaths, and then you come back out, maybe put your feet down in the dirt or in the grass or outside, take a breath, come back in and go back with the routine. So, it becomes habitual. And what happens is if you do just 1 minute every day, naturally, we're all a little bit competitive, I think, that we're like, oh, well, if I did 1 minute and I did it for 3 days in a row, I'm going to do it for the whole week. I'm going to just see if I can do 1 minute for 7 days. And then what do we do after 1 week streak? We want to try to do the whole month, and we build on it. But even just 1 minute, there's going to be a day, maybe it's on a Sunday and there's nothing else going on, and you find yourself in a pocket with 5 minutes, and you start to develop a little bit more of a connection. And those 1 minute meditations turn into 5, and you start to open up your intuition, and your instincts start to get stronger, because your right brain, which is in charge of your body and your intuition, it's like it's coming online. And all those little 1 minute meditations that you've now been doing for 7 days straight, it's like doing a little bicep curl with a 2-pound weight. Every single day, you got a little bit more in the tank and you get a little bit stronger. And so it starts to develop, and soon your instincts start to be able to really serve you. That gut instinct that you once would override with your okay, well, I'm going to use my logic instead on that situation. My instinct said, bring the umbrella today, but nah, it's not even raining. I'm just going to go with it. And then all of a sudden you're like, I didn't even know it was going to rain. Then, and you go, I should have trusted myself. But those little 1 minute increments are so impactful to help develop that intuition and that instinct for your suit.
For sure. I mean, what I want to ask you is, I want to come back to, because you said you actually experienced burnout. What was the catalyst for your change, or that you realized, hey, I got to turn my life around here?
Well,
so what was your hero's journey?
My journey, it felt like this slow, arduous process where I thought I hit rock bottom, and I thought I hit rock bottom, and I thought, and I just kept sinking deeper. And the problem with having a strong self-awareness and understanding that my energy is like a magnet, and my energy, if it's low and I'm tired, I had gained weight, I had a rash on my face, my hair was falling out, I had all these other symptoms. Like, I know I need to work on my stress and anxiety right now, and I'm on this like hamster wheel where I can't stop, but yet I know I'm the problem. The problem is me. If I can get myself into a better state, my external environment will start to reflect that as well. And I felt like, I started listening more to, I went back to like my old school, like Esther Hicks, and listening to Abraham, and like law of attraction, like, okay, Emily, shift your energy, shift your vibration, like shake it up. And what happened was, finally, I started to get my meditation practice back, and I connected with my higher self. And what I mean by higher self, just so we're on the same like understanding, is I connect with that part of me, which is my happily ever after. What does it look like, feel like, smell like, taste like when I've done it? And that part of me that came here into this body, in this lifetime right now, with a purpose in heart, like, what does that feel like and look like? And when I connected with my higher self, I saw myself not like with millions of dollars in a big office building, but I saw myself in my own backyard in the garden. And I saw myself having slow mornings with my kids and quiet walks in nature. I saw myself doing things that would help regulate my nervous system. And I said, all right, well, I'll take a page out of her book. And instead of working Monday through Friday, I'll stop working Mondays. I'll have a 4-day work week. So Mondays will be like my own self-care day. I'll put some time into my garden, which I already have. I have a backyard farm. So like, it's here. I don't live in the city. I have access to all of this. It's so wonderful. So I started to do that. And I remember I reached out to my team and I said, you don't have to take Mondays off, but this is an invitation to do this for yourself, if you'd like. Everybody did it. And they're like, this is great. We can just do, Thursday, or Tuesday through Friday. This is awesome. And I started to slowly feel better. Nothing, if anybody gardens, nothing feels better than when you see this disgusting mess in your garden with weeds and it's all overgrown, and you can get in and pull it all out and plant fresh, clean, beautiful flowers. Like, it goes from this mess to this beautiful thing. Like, it's such instant gratification if you do it. And I think that in that process, we're also thinking and we're processing our own stuff. And I'm sometimes listening to books or just imagining I'm pulling the weeds out of my own life, the trouble, my blocks. And little by little, I started to find my way back to feeling better. And I started to, believe it or not, prioritize fun and joy. I said, I want to get a life again. I want to do things that are just like completely pointless and fun. And so, for example, I had a friend reach out to me over last winter, and she says, I know this is probably weird, but would you want to do a blanket making class with me? And I immediately started giggling because it's like a finger knitting with these chunky blankets. And I was like, that is so ridiculous. Yes, of course I want to do that. And I started baking sourdough bread and like doing things that are not for financial gains. They're just for fun. They're creative outlets. They're getting me out of just being like work, 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 mom, 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 mom. Like I'm having that chance to get a life. So I prioritized getting in the garden, having fun, doing things that were just joyful. And it got me back into that flow state. And it got me back to myself and feeling alive again and feeling my energy surge and feeling full of vitality. And that's really the transition of, okay, all I did, and I don't mean to oversimplify, but it really is simple, which is connecting with your higher self, taking the instruction manual that you are giving to yourself that comes from in here. No one else is giving me hot tips. My higher self said, this is what you need to do. And this is how you need to do it. This is how you want to feel. Do these things. And I just took one step every single day to not just do the things, but embody that feeling. Like, how does she feel? When I imagine my higher self, and we can all do this, when you kind of close your eyes and imagine your higher self, your future, what does it look, feel, smell, taste like? And you can bring it into full color. And that feeling, like, what is her energy? What is her presence? What is that? What does it feel like to be around her? And how can I begin to embody that right now, today?
Mm. There's a question for you, but I think you almost partially answered it, but maybe there's a bit more you'd like to add. Wahiba says, good afternoon, ladies. How does one get to quiet the mind when meditation don't work as the noise in the head is too loud?
That's so common. It is so common. That is why I present a 1 minute, because our brain, it's designed, that's its job. It's designed to keep going and to keep thinking. So the style of meditation that I do, I always thought I was doing it wrong, because I learned a traditional meditation where you might do some mantra and you go into a quiet space for 20 minutes or so, come out. And as I was in that quiet space after mantra, it was like a little monkey was like, and another thing, and your to-do list, and something else, and a business, and a thing, and and it was like, so then I started to just, instead of trying to like put a pillow over its head and muffle it, I would just stop fighting the urge and say, like, what is it that you want to show me? And I started to just kind of follow it down like a rabbit trail. But the style of meditation that I channel and that I present is guided. So you can listen to it and go on a journey. It's not just sit quiet and have a blank screen in your brain. It's let's go with a purpose. It's meditation with a purpose. So let's start with systematically relaxing your body. Now let's imagine a beautiful grassy field. Now you're kind of climbing up a mountain. There's somewhere that you're going here. You're seeing animals. What animals do you see? Like it kind of brings you out of your own head into your imagination, which is also your intuition. And you're receiving input and messages in a way that doesn't feel very forced. It doesn't feel traditional where you're just sitting there, and you're able to relax because there's sort of like a storyline. And you can fade out to your to-do list, and you can fade out to what's going on in your mind and what's going on in your kids and the weather and what's going on with your car. And then you can come back into the storyline and engage in where you're going next. And there are going to be days where it's going to be a lot harder, and your brain is going, the thoughts won't stop. And it's okay. I think just forgive yourself and go, okay, today's not the day because I have so much going. So maybe just the one meditation is better for me. I'll try again tomorrow and try a guided meditation. And the thing is that we're all different. So for some people, sitting down, listening to a guided meditation is awesome, and that gets you where you need to go. For other people, you do it while you're cooking, or while you're on a run, or while you're in the shower, or while you're in the garden, wherever it is that fits into your life and your lifestyle. There's no reason why you can't be on a walk, listening in headphones to a guided meditation. It will still open you up. And it means that your thoughts might just kind of quiet a little bit. Maybe they don't all the way disappear, but they just get a little bit softer, where instead of like, if you're sitting on a porch and it's a busy road, you're watching every single car go by and every single car go by. Instead of watching every single car go by, maybe you can just close your eyes and hear the cars go by, not have to engage every sense. And maybe instead of hearing them and seeing them, maybe you can just kind of tune into the music. What does music sound like? Sometimes we think meditation has to look like something. For me, it's a little bit different than my husband. My husband's a farmer, a gardener. He's out there in the garden and he puts on music and nothing else exists for him. That's his form of meditation. For some people, it's running, putting your feet on the pavement. It's hypnotic. It feels good. You get out of your head and you're just like in another state, so everybody's different. I would say find what works for you and don't feel like you have to conform to one thing every single day. Try something different and find what feels good for you.
Amazing. That's such great advice. And it's so true. It's not a cut, copy, and paste for everyone. Meditation is something different for each person, and it can be found in the most odd and strangest of places. Like you said, running with you pounding on the pavement. And it's just anywhere and any time that takes you to another space where it just feels all about you, and understanding and having the awareness of who you are in this amazing, magnificent universe that we are all a part of. I just want to ask you just a little bit, moving on into the corporate sphere now. Like I live in Johannesburg, and if you ask Anissa, I mean, Johannesburg's like literally the rat race of South Africa. People here are just working all the time. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365. And when you look at it, and I'm also guilty of this, but many of us, especially in the corporate space, look at burnout as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Okay. It's about how much you can do, how much you're maximizing your time every hour of the day. It's about how much you can multitask and have so many balls up in the air and whatnot. And this, we glorify it.
Yeah.
Okay. So how can we begin to recognize misalignment before it reaches a crisis point?
Well, I think that it does whisper to us. It does tap us a little bit. It says, you need more sleep. You should probably go to bed earlier. Maybe you shouldn't have that extra glass of wine tonight. It tells us a little bit all the time. It's that we override it. Like you said, we're addicted to that go, go, go mentality, that burnout is a badge of honor. Look how much more I can do every day. Look, my plate is so full. I've done it all. And we get celebrated. Society celebrates us for doing it all. Like, wow, look at her go. She does it all. And it's like we're earning our love. We're earning success. And we're showing that we're worthy because we do so much.
Yes.
And
exactly.
so there's sort of a deeper issue here where that we're finding our own worth for ourselves. I'm worthy innately because I am. And so if I know that I don't have to prove myself, I'm probably going to do more things just because I want to, not because I should, or because I have to, or I feel guilty. And I think that there's a lot of times where we get so caught up in other people's expectations that we design our life to please everybody else. And there are a lot of us, especially women, that are people pleasers. We want to do what's right by others to make them feel comfortable and happy. And if that means sacrificing ourselves, we'll absolutely do that. Put ourselves last, put everybody ahead of ourselves. And I think that that's a really dangerous place to live. We find ourselves, and I mean, this is a really a trauma loop that starts a lot younger. We start as children seeing, okay, well, if I'm a good girl and I do as I'm told and I make everybody else happy, that's how I live. That's how I survive. That's how I thrive. And so I want to make sure that I don't upset anybody or ruffle any feathers. I don't shine too big. I don't ask for too much. I'm just fitting in. I don't upset anybody, because if I upset somebody, something bad might happen to somebody I love or to me. And so we've learned this over time to kind of mute ourselves, not really listen to our needs, dismiss our desires, even though we have them inside. And so that kind of muting down and muffling what our desires and our needs are, it just continues to get celebrated. It's like, good job for not listening to your desires. Good job not listening to your intuition and instincts. Keep doing what you're told. Keep following the pattern. Keep following the path. And so we really have to be audacious. We have to be willing to go outside of what the norm is and to put ourselves first. And for some people, they say that's very selfish. That's a negative thing. And I look at it in a different way, is that if I'm able to feel joy, feel fulfillment, feel satisfaction, get a great night's sleep, nourish my body, mind, and spirit, feeling amazing, my cup is full. And from that full cup, I have extra to give to others, that overfill. So if you imagine a teacup on a little saucer, it's that overflow on the saucer that we want to give from. But typically we're just giving from our own reserves, and we pour this baby out every single day to everyone and everything that wants us, needs us. We end up with an empty cup every day. And because we're empty, we start doing things and adding patterns into our life, our foods, our habits, our environments that keep us at this kind of lower vibration, which also means we're compromising our immune system. We're more susceptible to illness. When we are at that rock bottom low, we start making poor decisions that don't honor ourselves. So it's this kind of nasty cycle. So we have to disrupt the status quo, put ourselves first, take good care of ourselves, prioritize our health and healing and vitality before anybody else, so that we can, give more to others as well. But it is a change to break out of that burnout cycle when it is so celebrated, for people to say no. If your bunch of friends are going out for drinks and you say no thank you, it's like, what do you mean no thank you? We're all going out for drinks. We had a long week, we're tired, we want to have a drink and feel better. Like, well, I feel better when I go to the beach and have some quiet space and I put my toes in the water and can catch my breath and see the sunset. Like, we get fulfillment in different ways. Or maybe, it does challenge friendships. If you've had friendships for a long period of time that you're no longer in sync with your beliefs and their beliefs, it's going to cause tension, which is a lot of times people avoid that because they want to keep things as they are. So, if I have friends and all of my friends drink, but I don't, I might feel a little awkward. So it might be time to create some friendships with people who don't drink and they really like hikes in nature and gardening in their backyard, and we have things in common. So you don't have to get rid of one, but adding more into your life that supports what you want.
I like what you're saying, because it's that vibrational frequency. You're either vibrating at the same frequency or you're not.
Yeah.
I want to come back and maybe ask you as an invitation to share with us, because you use the words, it's a trauma loop. And I'm kind of still holding on to that, because burnout and the need to people please, the need to be in control, the perfectionism, the hyperachiever in us, it's all based on, as you say, it's either the good girl or the black sheep, or I don't belong, I'm not worthy, valued. Can you share with us how you recognized your own trauma loop? What would you then say were the 1, 2, or 3 areas that was constantly perpetuating the cycle of this trauma loop? Are you willing to share with our audience?
Absolutely. I'm an open book. And, the thing about healing, Anissa, is that it's layered. And so just because I have maybe healed one area doesn't mean it's done forever. It will come back at a different level, because as I grow and ascend spiritually or financially, or I'm going to find myself addressing these issues again from a different angle. So my guides like to use metaphors. So it's kind of like if you were to sweep your stairs from the bottom 2 steps and you get all the dirt and dust off and you look at the whole staircase, you go, no, it's clean now. I cleared it. It's clear. I healed that part. But we ascend, we go up new stairs. So we're going to clean it again from the next level. So I had it was actually just this past spring for me, which is around, I guess, like March for me. And I was having a conversation with my husband, and he says, why are you so hard on yourself all the time? Anybody else feel hard on themselves? I am super hard on myself. So, I think we could kind of all go, I don't know, and just kind of move past it, but I didn't. And I kind of sat with it for a minute. And I asked in my body, why am I so hard on myself? And then I immediately recognized, I said, I think that I equate the more financially successful I am to the more that I am able to receive love. And he's like, what? Who said that? I go, apparently my subconscious. I don't know. That just came out of nowhere. And he's like, who's love? And I immediately knew, I immediately welled up in tears. And I said, the love from my parents.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll be more worthy of receiving their love if I'm more successful. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh my God, that thought is ruining my life. It's driving me. And I mean, I'm totally unconscious of it until that point. And I'm like, that thought is driving me in the most negative way possible because I am proving myself. Again, remember I came back to like, we're all innately worthy. Well, sometimes we have little children inside of us that are very feeling unhappy and unworthy and have been traumatized. So we have to prove ourselves in funny ways. So that was going on. And I was recognizing that, wow, I am really trying to present and bring in more finances so that I can receive love from my parents. And as I was processing and talking it through, and we ended up, I was like, I need to move my body. It was like, I had so much emotions welling up. I could feel my body was getting like a big release. I'm like, I just want to go walk and like get this like energy moving out of my body. So we continued the conversation, and something he said, I'll never forget, which was, you know, you could be filling stadiums with people and they still wouldn't get it. And I was like, dang, wow. It's so true. And I think that's it. It's like, when is it ever enough? What, helping 10 people, 20, 30, 1,000, 20,000. If you imagine a stadium of people, and he's right, because I could imagine that happening. And they still wouldn't quite get it. They still wouldn't quite see me for who I am versus who they see me as their little girl in this stuck in time and space. And I think that's a big issue that a lot of us have as we grow and evolve and become new versions of ourselves. And I mean, we are literally changing our physiology, you know, every day. We're shedding cells, we're becoming new versions of ourselves. But yet there are people who hold us to these old ideals, you know, the you that was you back in, you know, in your childhood, the you that was in as a teenager, the you that was in your 20s, the you that was growing up. And that's all they think of you as. And it's very hard to grow and to become this impactful person who helps millions of people if you have people who just see you as this little thing that's like, meh. So that was a really important shift for me to recognize I need to do this for myself. And I started to shift the way that I was offering my business services, programs. I did a launch. I have a program called the Phoenix Mentorship, where it's a 7-month mentor program. And I typically in the past, when I'd offer something big like a mentorship ongoing program, I would have a fancy website. I would do lots of live production. I would do lots of emails and social media, and I would have this big launch and put a lot of energy and effort and all this song and dance into it, because again, I was trying to prove myself and my worthiness of receiving love. And so I challenged myself a few months ago to just make it a Google form, make it messy, make it not fancy, send out emails, but stop doing all the things that require me to prove myself in order to receive, and instead shift into my energetic vibration. So if this program went the best ever, what would the results be for the people who went through it? They would 10x their business from a place of alignment, feeling more fulfilled, dropping all of the stories and relationships and programming that once held them back, and to really come back home, remember who they are, and live every day full out in their pure joy and alignment, and do that in a group among other women who are doing the same thing and bring that energy into their life, into their business, and having that sort of ripple outward and help to touch other people as well, thousands of others. And so from that state of energetic frequency, that's where I just aligned to that. And of course, I'm only human after all. There's that sort of slump where, you know, a lot of people get excited about it. And then there's this slump with like nobody's signing up. And you're like, what's happening in my life? Can I make some sales, or do I have to do the song and dance again? And so what I did was very creative, that I would leave myself these voice memos using the Voxer app when I was in that high frequency. So when it first came through me and I was really high, I channeled a message to myself, like, this is for you. This is like basically what I just said, like that hyped up energy. And so if I was in like a low frequency, I would go listen to myself and I would be my own hype woman. And then when I would make a sale and somebody would join, I'd be like, this is going to change people's life. Like I would just do it over and over again. And just if I would slump again, I'd go back and raise up my frequency again. And so I really shifted my own beliefs of like, I believe I have to do the song and dance in order to make sales, receive love, etc.
Oh my gosh. I'll be my own hype woman. That's the thing that is sticking with me right now, because we do have on days and off days. And before we started, Jamila, I was telling her that we have this motto: we don't care who shows up here. If it's one person, if it's 10 people, if it's 100 people, it doesn't matter to us, because we're not chasing vanity metrics. And I can so resonate, Emily, with what you're saying about the events and masterclasses and microclasses. I had my first event 2 weeks ago. And you know, when I first put it out, I had the social media agency ladies, and everything is this rah rah and buzz, and I'm tired of seeing myself on the screen and hearing myself, because it's not who I am. I don't want to be on the screen all the time. And I said to them, does it really have to be like this? Surely, if you are serving from a place of giving impact or leaving impact or creating a legacy in this world, that should be enough and more than enough. So I like this just plain Google form. But what's more important of what you said is that we're human. And as much as we say we don't want the external validation, when you're running a program because you want to serve at scale, you want a lot of people there potentially. But then you come to realize, hey, but hold on, it isn't about the number of people. Right? It's never about the amount of people in the end.
I think it could be both and, because, you know, I think that it is sometimes about the number, because that's how much impact you can have. And I don't know what your vision is for yourself. So I can't say, you know, that's in alignment or not. And I think sometimes we have to do a little bit of that stuff that makes us feel stretched, where, oh my gosh, I'm really out there a lot. And for you, it feels like I'm out there a lot because you're at the heart of it and you know all of the efforts that are going out there. But on the other side of the internet, where everybody else is, they're barely seeing the message and they haven't heard of it. And they have 19 other things and 20 tabs open in their brain. And there's so much going on that like they might see it once and like, oh yeah, I want to do that. But they need a reminder and another reminder so that they can get to the place where they're really supposed to be. So I think it's both the energy, but it does also have to be like, I'm here to make an impact and I want to be able to be a resource for people. But I can't if they've never heard of me and they don't know I exist. So we have to also be a marketer. And I think that's where in the past I've really leaned on paid advertising, because I can't be outside doing my cheerleading routine all day, every day, because it's exhausting. So by the time I get to that workshop, I'm like, I had something to share with you. I just can't. Right now, I'm just too tired. And that was also part of the lesson I had to learn the hard way too, is that I would be this amazing like energizer bunny. And then I couldn't people after I launched because I was so exhausted from weeks of promotion. So, you know, we have to find this delicate balance between, okay, I just feel like my energy is enough, and like that's going to bring all the boys to the yard, and that's fine. But then we have to also look at, okay, in reality, people have so much stimulus. How do we get
True.
in front
Think
of
about it.
them? And that's where I look at statistics and email open rates and analytics, where I can say, well, this email got people to open the email, but the content in the story didn't grab people enough for them to click. So how can I kind of modify my story, make it maybe shorter for people's attention spans at this point? Because we talked about TikTok is really been helping people to shorten their attention spans, as well as other social platforms. I mean, how many times we find ourselves looking at something, we're like, come on, or like fast forward or put it onto it. I mean, I even listen to my audiobooks on 1.2 speed. I'm like, let's go, let's get to the juicy bits, So we have these shortened attention spans, but it's like, how can I still be of service? How can I show that I can be helpful? So it is a little bit of a delicate balance that we all have to find for ourselves.
Yeah, and I think for me, what really helped me is to relook at validation and to understand the importance of self-validation over external validation.
Yes.
And the minute that you're able to do this, the effects of it are undeniable, right? And I found that especially with my work and my workshops. And I remember when I did my first workshop, event, I was so focused on trying to put into my presentation what I thought people would want to hear. And it changed who I was. It changed what my message was until I began to work and get involved in what I loved about the topic, how I felt, my belief in it. And when I did this and focused on that, it comes across to everyone else, and it removes that resistance and allows for the flow of it, to just be. And so many people relate to that. So many people become vulnerable, or it's easier for them to be vulnerable, and it takes on a completely different, I mean, like for me, standing up in front of an audience and speaking or presenting from a PowerPoint or whatever the case may be, is, I find, so much less effective than when you get people to be involved, and when your session or your presentation is more interactive. It allows for that higher level of vulnerability to come not only from yourself,
Agreed.
but from those that you are speaking to.
Yes.
So for me, that's what I've found, is to focus mostly on my responsibility for self-validation, to give that to myself. And it's like you say, come back home, always come back to asking yourself the questions, as opposed to what you're thinking others might want from you. And that makes a huge difference. And I think that when we can let go of those things and let go of the expectations and the assumptions that we make about ourselves, it helps us, because the probability of us reaching that point of burnout is a lot less, right? And I don't think that people understand or realize the impact of burnout and what it has on you. Many of us just like push through burnout, thinking that we will bounce back, the same as before. And my question to you, Emily, is, do we truly recover from burnout with specifically coming back to who we were on the level that we used to be? And I say this because it's something that we need to consider with most seriousness, the idea of burnout. What we go through from a mental perspective, from our physical capabilities, what does that look like? And what does recovery from burnout look like?
Such a good question. And I think even in the question, there's a little bit of that answer of, after we burn out, do we go back to what life was like? And I don't know. I think that's so individual. I think that we all go through a different reason why we burn out. We all go through a different process of healing our burnout. And I think through whatever process of healing you get to, you come out the other end as a different person. And there are definitely options to go back to the way things used to be. It's always available to us. Let's go back. But we have to go back with caution. We have to say, okay, well, when I did all those things every day, that got me to this place. If I want to avoid this place, I need to make different choices in my life. And for some people, the burnout isn't just fatigue and losing sleep. It's a crazy medical diagnosis. And they have to change their whole lifestyle to save their life. And if you have to do that, there is no going back. There's like, we're burning the bridge. We're never going to go back. Set the boats on fire. It's not going to happen again, because this life is too precious for me to go there. Life is too fragile. Life is like, you have a total change in perspective and say, I'm going to change my lifestyle, my relationships, my workflow, my health routine to save my life. When your life is on the line, it's like, you're never going to go back there. But sometimes it's not that severe. So it's really easy. If for some people, like I mentioned, alcohol, that's a slippery slope for some people. Maybe a drink isn't so big of a deal for you, but maybe that's the slippery slope that gets you into 5 or 6 drinks in the night. And next thing you know, you're kind of hungover the next day and you're like, F it, I'm just going to do this other. Like, when we get to F it in our life, we know that there's trouble, right? Because you're so tired and you're just like, what? I'm not going to try anymore. But I kind of want to go back to what you said about self-validation, because it's like alarms going off in my head. And it's so important what you said about self-validation. And funny enough, this week I had a client who is burnt out, and she's working on healing her nervous system. And, on one hand, she really wants to grow her business right now, and she has some great ideas coming up. But on the other hand, her body is like, no, thank you. I need to pause. And what she recognized was that even in slowing down, in the back of her mind, she's like, I'm going to slow down so that I can be productive. Like, this slowdown is so I can have new ideas. When I stop, then I'm going to just have like a brilliant epiphany, and I'm going to do this other thing that I haven't thought about because I'm just too tired. And she recognized that even in slowing down, she's trying to be productive versus, and like earn the rest. And a lot of us are doing that. I mean, I have really successful friends who, they are going. They're like, they are earning that, retreat or that 2-month vacation or whatever that they're doing. They're grinding until they stop, and then they can rest. But what was interesting about her is that when I got into her energy field, we were just doing a private session where I'm connecting with her energy and seeing if there's anything to be cleared or anything to work on, is that we went down into the root of this. And where it brought me was healing through some pretty significant points in her life where trauma occurred. She was physically abused, emotionally abused. There were times in her life where she had sexual trauma happen to her, and the people closest to her, her best friend and her parents, essentially brushed it off and changed the topic and completely invalidated her. And so, I mean, we were both in tears, like in this session, because we're hitting on such a deep place. And from that place, kind of what I mentioned earlier, is she learned that either her suffering had to be a bit louder to get attention. And she also suffered from fibromyalgia. And for anybody who has any kind of chronic illness, these are these like sort of secret, like you look fine, you present fine, but you are suffering internally.
Yeah.
And so when you have chronic illness as well, and maybe people don't really believe you're as sick as you are, that we have to kind of heighten up our symptoms to make it look like we're sicker. And the other thing that happened to her, which happens to a lot of us, is that you are celebrated for how strong you are.
Well, I want to come in there because this is what I wanted to say earlier on, Emily. is that everybody knows Anissa to be the strong one. And
Oh,
then in the last few weeks, I've had a tough few weeks. And people were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not okay." Then they carry on talking. And then they come back and they say, what did you just say now? Did you just say you're not okay? Because they are
yes.
so accustomed to me being okay. So, do you know how I've been validating myself? I know this is like completely 360. It's I allow myself to cry.
Yeah.
I allow myself to not feel good because I used to be the one that's silver lining. I've said on here is that now that people are experiencing this new version of Anissa, if she needs to cry, she just sobs and she lets it all out.
Yeah.
That's my way of witnessing me in that moment because nobody knows how to witness my
Mm,
pain, my
mm.
desires, my needs, my art, because they're so used to seeing me to be the strong one and just thrive, the
Oh,
phoenix rising from the ashes.
yeah.
And I'm like, but hold on. I'm sorry if you're not going to witness me. I don't need you to validate my pain, my ask, my desires. I'm going to do that for myself. And
Yes.
I allow it, Emily. And I just want to say to our audience that is listening in, if you need to validate and witness your emotional state, please do so. Don't shame it. Because
Yep.
that, if we
Mm.
don't, is another big significant contributor to burnout, whether we like
Absolutely.
it or
Feelings are meant to be felt. They are meant
yeah,
to be felt. And good for you to say, no, I'm not okay. Because so many times we wipe our tears and we go to the pickup line or go to the grocery store and we just put on a smile when we are suffering. And I think that's part of why kindness is so important and love is so important because we don't know what people are going through on a day-to-day basis. And if we have a friend or somebody who says, you know what, I'm not really doing good, to be able just to hold space, you don't have to have the answers. And sometimes that's where it's hard for folks when you're going through something tough, where especially grief and loss and a terrible diagnosis, like people don't know what to say, and so they withdraw out of your life because they
yeah,
don't know how to
yeah,
respond to pain. Sometimes just saying, you know what, I wish I had the right words to say, but I just want you to know that I'm here for you, that I want to send you love, and
right.
that's it. But also, for you, and I know the feeling of being celebrated for how strong you are is not something that we want. I don't want to be celebrated for
No,
how strong I am, for all the stuff I had to go through. Like, I'd rather not have to go through all that and have to be strong. But that's part of this cycle, this loop of, okay, well, I'm the strong one. So, and my client, she said she was hiking with her husband and like had like hurt her knee and she was wincing in pain. And he's like, I'm so proud of you for continuing the hike. You're so strong. And she's like forsaking her physical health and well-being.
Mm. I think also, sometimes we over obsess on what others think of us.
For
And
sure.
I think it's also about us giving ourselves the permission to not be okay.
exactly.
Yes.
Right, and
Yes.
it's got nothing to do with anybody else. And I'm living proof of this because you feel like you have a point to prove. I
Mm.
did this when I got divorced. I had everybody, I mean, people weren't talking to me. You were the worst thing possible, all the rest of it. And in my head, I had to show them.
Yes.
I had to show them that I was going to be a success. So even if I achieved that success, it was never ever for me. It was for somebody else. It was never a gift that I was giving for myself. So I needed to take accountability for me. I had to learn to put aside what I thought other people's opinions were of me. I had to start living and being accountable to Jamila.
Mm.
Because
Mm,
in people pleasing, we tend to look at ourselves as victims, but we are also very manipulative because we want to be
yes.
seen as the good
Absolutely.
person. We want to be seen as this person who can multitask and do a whole lot of things, and she's so successful and she's done it solely on by herself. It's self-glorification, and
Yep.
we need to take accountability for that and the effect that it has on us.
Mm.
Love that. Love that. Ladies, we're on the top of the hour. We have reached our 1 hour, and I mean, we're only just getting heated in this conversation. What
Yeah,
is there anything,
Anissa,
Emily?
Anissa,
Yes,
you mentioned earlier that you were chatting to Emily about, we didn't put any pressure on ourselves,
yes,
it's in terms of who was signing in and watching and all of that there. And yes, we didn't, but I have to say that this every week that we come here, we are met with and get to spend an hour with the most amazing guests. And this is
yes,
self fulfillment. It is um, soul nourishing for us. So, this has been really and truly an indulgence for us. Which has
always.
been, and today has been no different. As Anissa is saying, we're just getting into it and just getting to enjoy who you are and all the wisdom that you bring with you. And I so wish that we had more time. Every week we say this,
Yeah.
because the time's just never enough. But yeah, it's been amazing chatting to you. There's so much more that we can delve into. Um,
Definitely. And you know that Emily just happened to get this slot because we
I
had
know,
a cancellation, but it's not in
not
vain. I think
so.
everything is
No.
divinely orchestrated that you were meant to be here today.
Mhm.
And we'd love to have our guest that couldn't make it. But Emily, if you do feel the need to join us again sometime, go to the same link, chat to Brooke. We are booked up until next year, April, May already,
Wow.
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'd love to continue this conversation because there's a
I
lot
would too.
more layers and depth to the topic around the energy advantage. I mean, we have truly just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Burnout's one, but we haven't even touched around conscious leadership
Mm.
because for me, conscious leadership is about self leadership. It's
Yes.
that self mastery. But people think you have to be perfect in your conscious leadership. And I feel it's quite the opposite. You've got to embrace your inner villain. You've got to embrace those parts that isn't necessarily as conscious to get to the path of conscious leadership.
Yeah. It
So
is
I
about.
want to ask you in closing, is there anything you want to say, add, that we didn't touch on today yet, but you'd love to leave our audience with?
Well, I want to say thank you, Jamila and Anissa. This has been a beautiful conversation. I love the organic flow of it. We went where we went because of the depth here in this room, because, chances are your audience is ready to go there and to really hear more truth, not just the why you want to burn out, what is the 3 hot tips for it, but really the root, and really understand that healing is a journey. So I appreciate you both for holding the space for this kind of conversation. It's certainly my favorite kind of interview where we can go deeper than just like the quick questions and then next one.
Yeah.
And I would love to continue this in the future. So absolutely, I will book in this, April or whenever your next available opening is. And I just want to give gratitude for your audience, your listeners, for being here, for the wonderful questions that came in and, their engagement. It's been really wonderful to be here. I don't have anything else to add that I want to go into. I just want to share my gratitude for this space and for everybody.
Thank you. Jamila,
Thank,
any closing remarks?
no, thank you so much. And I think that it's just wonderful that we have people like you who emphasize the importance of alignment, the importance of energy, the importance of self-validation. And it's only in these conversations that we continue to have do we raise that awareness for others. Because I know that I've not always been interested in this. I've not always been able to see the importance of learning about who Jamila is, about my own self-discovery, and who I was when I was in corporate to who I am now is only because of people like you, people like Anissa, who have come into my life and educated me and given me that awareness, and almost like throwing in that line with the bait.
Mm.
in order for me to catch it and to just want to learn more and more and more about it. So super, super grateful for people like you, for Anissa, this platform that we've now created for ourselves. And I just hope that, whoever else is listening in has the same amount of benefits and rewards that we feel for spending this time.
Wonderful. Again, we're going to end off with the gratitude because I suppose that is great grace gratitude, right? And we are on, this was episode 87 and counting, and we're just grateful to be here. And I think what I'd love to share with you, Emily, in closing, is that you are the embodiment of what you are putting out into the world. You are that embodiment of embodying that energy, regardless if it's chaotic or if it's harmonious, and finding the sweet spot in between. So, my final closing point to those that are listening, what I got out of it is embody all of who you are and embrace all of who you are, because you don't have to apologize or be validated by anyone but you. So, Emily, stay with us. I'm going to greet. Sorry, I know I haven't greeted anyone on Insta today, but thank you for being here. And on YouTube, we only had one watching, but that's okay too. And we'll see you next week. But Emily, you'll stay with us for a short debrief,
You bet.
and then I'll end the live on both sides or on all three sides. Take care, everyone. Until next week. See you then.
Bye bye, guys.
Okay.